Hi, my name is Ezra Yunichi Nemeth. This is my poster presentation for Psychology 180, Section 60. This poster presentation is about the brain. The main idea I have for this is the brain is a very complex organism. It has many different parts and many different functions. One of the main areas I will be focusing on today is the cerebral cortex. The title of this poster presentation is The Complex Brain. The introduction to this is the brain is made up of many different regions. These include the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. The cerebrum is then broken down into the left and right hemisphere of our brains. Today I will be focusing on the cerebral cortex, which is the outer side or the outside thin layer of the cerebrum. The cerebral cortex is a relatively new finding. The results of this finding, though, have caused the discovery of between 20 and 23 billion nerves and 300 trillion synaptic connections, which synaptic connections tell us tell our brains different messages and make connections between different parts of our body and brain. I will be discussing the function of the cerebral cortex. So the cerebral cortex is the processing control center of our brain. So when something happens, it's sent there and it processes what to do next, basically. It is made up of a thin layer on the outside of the cerebrum. It's made up of interconnected neural cells. The size of the cerebral cortex is actually that of like a wrinkled walnut, but if it would be unfolded and flattened, it would be relatively the size of a large pizza. Like I said before, the cerebral cortex has between 20 and 23 billion nerves and 300 trillion synaptic connections. One of the areas of the cerebral cortex is the motor cortex, which is a arch type thing on our frontal lobe. And when scientists discovered this by poking at the brain, they realized if this part was like poked at, it had a reaction and it made certain parts of the body move. And the motor cortex sends these different messages to the area of our brain called the somatosensory cortex. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. This registers the body's touch and movement. So if somebody touches your shoulder, this is the part of the brain that reacts. It's located at the front of the parietal lobes, and then this area also includes our auditory cortex and our visual cortex. And our auditory cortex is basically what we hear, and then our visual cortex is what we see. And then our brain has a lot of plasticity, which means that it can adapt to different things. It's very soft. So basically, if we're blind, we don't need our visual cortex. So our plasticity will take over and expand our sense of touch. So you can experience Braille, and because you don't need your visual cortex if you're blind. Same thing with the if your finger's amputated, your other fingers around it will be increased in sensitivity. So yeah, the cortex is very important in our daily functioning and our daily lives, and is used constantly. And thank you.